Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Ryan Awesome, and welcome to the Ryan Awesome Show. Now, today on the Ryan Awesome Show, I'll be talking about NXT for May 18th, 2021. Now, man, overall with this show, man, it was okay. It was decent. It wasn't bad or anything. But in the beginning, it felt like the first half of NXT, it just felt boring. Like I was uninterested in it. Like I was not interested in the first half. Now when we picked up with the Ciampa and Thatcher match, the tag team match with Legado del Fantasma and Ciampa and Thatcher, that's when everything started to pick up. And of course the main event was a great match, the best match on the show for me. Bronson Reed becoming a new NXT North American Champion. I love that. Now, so yeah, that was it with that. You know, okay, it was an okay show. Okay show to me. The beginning of the show felt bland and felt boring to me. But when we got to that Champa match, that Champa and Thatcher match, that's when everything started to pick up for me. And so yeah, this is the NXT review for May 18th, 2021 on the Ryan Awesome Show. And if you haven't done this already, man, what are you waiting for, man? Hit the thumbs up. Hit the thumbs up. And if you're new here, hit that subscribe button. And right next to that subscribe button, there's a bell. Make sure you click on that bell so you be the first ones to know when my next video will come out because I am here each and every single week. So make sure you hit the thumbs up, you subscribe to the channel, and you turn on that bell so you don't miss out. And so, yeah, man. So, first off, we started off the show with a match, and it was from the women. And so yeah, it was Toni Storm versus Zoe Stark. And so yeah, so right in the beginning of the match, both of these women they were going right at each other, and we had a drop kick to Storm. We had a top rope crossbody to Storm outside of the ring. We had a missile drop kick to Storm, and then at one point we had Storm. She had tripped up Zoe Stark on the ring apron, and we had a hip attack. We had a hip attack to Zoe Stark into the steel steps, and Storm she had took control of the match at that point. And we had a big boot to Stark, and then Stark had kicked out of the big boot, and then Storm she was throwing Stark around, and we had an insecurity kick to Storm, so Stark was fighting back, and so both ladies they were going back and forth with strikes, and we had a sliding clothesline to Storm, followed up by a sliding knee to Storm, and she kicked out, and we had a super kick to Storm, and we had a half and half suplex to Toni Storm, and we had a German suplex to Stark. And so Storm, she tried to go for the Storm Zero, her finishing move. Well, she did hit it. She did hit the Storm Zero. She hit the Storm Zero on Zoe Stark, and Stark had kicked out of the finishing move. And so Storm, she could not believe it that Stark had kicked out of her own finishing move, or kicked out of her finishing move. And so to end the match, man, we had Toni Storm. She had a hip toss. I don't know what it was, but it was a wicked move. So it was like a hip toss turned into a DDT. And so Zoe Stark, man, she landed right on top of her head, man. Like so that was really nasty. And so Toni Storm, she had won the match. And so yeah, so Toni Storm, she wins the match, and rightfully so, man. Rightfully so. Toni Storm, man, she has been on the end of losing. She's been on the end of the losing stick, man. Like she has done nothing, like nothing important. Like nothing important. It seems like every single match that she's in, dude, like she always lose. And Toni Storm, man, she been doing nothing, man. Like nothing important. Toni Storm hasn't been doing. And so yeah, so Toni Storm she wins the match. The match was okay. It was fine. And so yeah, so right after that, you had Frankie Monet. You had Frankie Monet. She had interrupted with her theme music, and she just showed up, and that was it. And I was like, okay, like what was the point of Frankie Monet coming out? And why does she keep getting involved in other people's business? That's what I want to know. Why does she keep getting involved in other people's business? Like she been doing that ever since she showed up on NXT. Like she been doing that every single week. Every single week she was on NXT, she done it. She interrupted the Raquel Gonzalez, Io Shirai, and all these other ladies. Ember Moon and Shotzi Blackheart. Like, dude, what is her problem, man? What is her problem? All she doing is creating a lot of enemies. That's all she doing, man. Creating a lot of enemies. And so yeah, so I'm guessing Toni Storm, since she won this match, she's going after Raquel Gonzalez in the NXT Women's Championship because they mentioned it on commentary that whoever can win this match will probably be a contender for the NXT Women's Championship. So I'm guessing Toni Storm is going after Raquel Gonzalez. And so but Toni Storm, she's not gonna win. Raquel Gonzalez, she's gonna have that title for a long time. So I don't see anybody beating Raquel Gonzalez right now. And so yeah, that was it with that. That was it with the match and ending of the match. And so yeah, right after that we had McKenzie Mitchell. She had interviewed Legado del Fantasma. So it was Joaquin Wilde and Raul Mendoza, and Santos Escobar. Santos Escobar was not there, and yeah. So she interviewed Legado del Fantasma, and Legado del Fantasma, they were asking for their tag team title match, and they were asking why haven't they gotten it yet from MSK. And so yeah, so they were talking about MSK and the tag team titles, why is MSK ducking us all of a sudden? And then Ciampa and Thatcher had interrupted Legado del Fantasma. And so Ciampa and Thatcher, they were talking to Legado del Fantasma, and they were saying that, you know, although you guys have beaten MSK, you never beaten us. You never beaten Ciampa and Thatcher. And so they challenged Legado del Fantasma to a match next week. I mean, not next week. They challenged them to a match later that night. And so the match was made. And so yeah, right after that, we had Cameron Grimes. He had arrived. It looked like he came in like a Rolls Royce, a white Rolls Royce. And so yeah, came into the parking lot. And you had people watching and stuff. And you had Jake Atlas. He had came out. He was there too. And Jake Atlas, Cameron Grimes and Jake Atlas, they had got into it in the parking lot. And so Jake Atlas, he was making fun of Cameron Grimes about him and Ted DiBiase. Ted DiBiase getting a one up on Cameron Grimes, and so Cameron Grimes had took offense to that, and so Cameron Grimes, he had challenged Jake Atlas to a match later that night. And so yeah, that was it with that. And so yeah, right after that we had a vignette from The Way, the new NXT Women's Tag Team Champions, Candice LeRae and Indi Hartwell. And so yeah, they were at a massage spa or massage spa, whatever you want to call it, and they were relaxing, celebrating their championship win. And so yeah, they were both talking about Dexter Lumis. And so Dexter Lumis, he was there. He was at the massage spa, but they didn't know about it. He was the massager, I guess, or the masseuse, whatever they call it. I don't know. He was the masseuse, and he was doing the massage to Indi Hartwell's face. And so they were talking about Dexter Lumis, so they didn't know that Dexter Lumis was there. Why would Dexter Lumis be at a spa? I don't know. But yeah, they said that Dexter Lumis was a loser and all that stuff. And so Dexter Lumis, he was there, and so he was upset, he was sad, but he doesn't show any emotion. But he was upset. And so right after that, Lumis, he had walked away. He had walked away from it. And so yeah, LeRae and Indi Hartwell, they were bragging about their championship win and all that stuff, and they said that Johnny Gargano will retain his NXT North American Championship later in the main event tonight. And so yeah, that was it with that. And so yeah, right after that we had a video package of Finn Balor and Karrion Kross, the NXT champion, Karrion Kross. And so they promoting the match as Balor versus Kross 2. And so yeah, you had people talking about the match and the rivalry and all that stuff, and they made their predictions on who would win the match and all that stuff. And so Balor versus Kross 2 will be next week for the NXT Championship. So that should be really good. And so yeah, right after that, oh yeah, and Finn Balor, of course, he's gonna lose. And if Balor lose, what's next for Balor? He can't go after the NXT Championship again right after he lose. So maybe the North American Championship, I'll send him out probably after the North American Championship, or maybe the Cruiserweight Championship. That's just me. One of those titles, send him after those titles, because I don't want to see him on the main roster again. And so yeah, that was it with that. Kross is gonna win. And so yeah, right after that we had the match. It was Jake Atlas versus Cameron Grimes to the moon. And so yeah, so first off, you had Cameron Grimes. He had came out to his theme music, and he was talking about Ted DiBiase, and he had wrote a footage of Ted DiBiase and his theme music playing, and they showed a video of Ted DiBiase's losses in WWE. And Cameron Grimes, he was laughing and all that stuff while the video was playing of Ted DiBiase losing and getting, humiliated and all that stuff in his WWE career. And so right after the video was done, you had the crowd chanting DiBiase and all that stuff. And so Cameron Grimes, he was upset, and so he went right after Jake Atlas, but Atlas had caught him with a drop kick. And so yeah, right after that we had went to commercial break. And so right after commercial break, we had springboard arm drag to Grimes. And so we had a Hurricane Rana to Grimes, and we had kicks to Atlas. So Grimes tried to fight back. And so, yeah, they were going back and forth for strikes. And then right after that, during that, we had Teddy DiBiase. His limo had arrived. His limo had arrived at, at the Capitol Wrestling Center. And so, yeah, we had knee strikes and a clotheslines to Grimes. And we had a standing Spanish fly to Atlas. I love the Spanish fly from Cameron Grimes. The way that he does it, I love it. And we had Cameron Grimes. He tried to go for his finishing move, the cave in. And so yeah, right before he went for the cave in, you had Teddy DiBiase. His theme music had played. And so Teddy DiBiase, he had came out to the ring to his theme music. And so Grimes, he got distracted by the theme music. And so I was like, oh my God, man, these people are so dumb. They are so dumb. They book these people as idiots, man. They book their wrestlers like idiots, baby faces and heels. And so yeah, so Grimes was distracted, and then Jake Atlas had came from behind and rolled up Cameron Grimes to win the match. So Jake Atlas had won the match, so he got the upset victory over Cameron Grimes. And so yeah, so Grimes after the match, he couldn't believe it that he lost to Jake Atlas. And so yeah, so Grimes, he tried to go right after Atlas. He was being a sore loser, so he tried to go after Atlas, but Atlas had dropped him. And so yeah, so Grimes, he had left the ring. He left ringside, and he had went to the back. He went to the parking lot where Teddy DiBiase's limo was, and so he tried to open up the limo door, but the door was locked. I put it on quotes, locked, because because he opened up the door. He opened up the door, and then he tried to make it look like it was locked by putting his hand over the door, pretending as the door was locked by opening it, while his hand was over the door. And so yeah, so Teddy DiBiase, he had rolled down the window, and and he laughed. He laughed in Cameron Grimes' face, and he just drove off, and that was it. And so yeah, that was it with the match. This wasn't even a match. This was not a match because right after we went to commercial break, right after commercial break, man, the match was almost over. And so, and then, dude, like I've been a fan of the Teddy DiBiase and Cameron Grimes encounters and all that stuff, their interactions and stuff. But this right here, man, this is the worst of it. This is the worst of it. Like Teddy DiBiase coming out like to his theme music and distracting Cameron Grimes, like it made Grimes look stupid. Like, dude, because Teddy DiBiase, he didn't even get involved. All he did was show up. That's all he did. So him showing up, so Teddy DiBiase showing up on the stage is gonna distract you. It's gonna stop you from winning your match, dude. Like, dude, like it ain't make any sense, dude. Like, it didn't make any sense at all. I don't understand why they make they wrestlers look like idiots. Like, whenever somebody come out to their theme music or somebody standing out on the stage, they get distracted. Like, dude, they didn't get involved yet. So focus on your opponent. That's the number one key, is to focus on your opponent. And so yeah, but yeah, that was it, man. That was dumb, man. That was the worst encounter of the DiBiase and Grimes stuff. And so yeah, that was it with that. And so yeah, right after that, we had a video of Bronson Reed, the challenger for the NXT North American Championship, and he was talking about you know his earlier career and all that stuff, his early career. And 14 years ago, he made his debut on this day, May 18th, 2007. And he said, 14 years later, he's gonna become the NXT North American Champion. And so yeah, that was it with Bronson Reed. And so yeah, so right after that, we had a backstage interview from Arash Markazi, the same guy that interviewed Adam Cole weeks ago. And so yeah, so Markazi, he interviews the bruiserweight Pete Dunne. And so yeah, so Dunne, he was talking about all the champions of NXT, the Cruiserweight Champion, the NXT North American Champion, and the NXT Champion, and the NXT United Kingdom Champion, Walter. And he was talking about all these guys. He was talking about Kushida, Gargano, and Walter and Kross and all that stuff, going down each person and stuff like that, saying that he has unfinished business with Walter. And Kushida, he was talking about Kushida. He he's beaten Kushida before, and he can go after the championship if he wants and all that stuff. But his main focus was carrying Kross. And then the interviewer had asked him about his style of wrestling and all that stuff. And Pete Dunne, he said that you know his style was inspired by Fit Finlay, legendary Fit Finlay. And Dunne, he traveled around the world learning their styles, learning the different styles around the world, and then incorporating those styles into his wrestling style. And And then right after that, he focuses his attention back on Kross, saying that he's going after the NXT Championship, the main title, the NXT Championship. And at that point, I was like, no, 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 do not go after Kross. Nobody should go after Kross, man. But Pete Dunne, he wants to go after Kross, and I'm not for it, man. I'm not for it. He should go after Kushida. That's what I think. He should go after Kushida, man. He's beaten Kushida just like what he said. He beaten Kushida. He's beaten Kushida at NXT Takeover. He beat him at NXT Takeover with Stand and Deliver. And this is right before Kushida even became Cruiserweight Champion. And he should go after him. He should go after him, saying that, hey, I deserve a championship match. I deserve to cut in front of all of y'all. I deserve to cut in front of all of y'all and beat the number one contender because I actually beat you, Kushida. I actually beat you. I actually beat you before you were even a champion. So I deserve a championship match against you. And so yeah, he's better off, man. He's better off at challenging, going after those titles instead of going after Kross, man. And Walter, man, don't go after Walter either. Do not go after Walter, and don't go after Kross. Go after the NXT champion, NXT North American Championship, or the NXT Cruiserweight Championship. One of those titles. But I'd much rather see him go after the Cruiserweight Championship because the story is there with him and Kushida, and he actually has a win over Kushida. And so yeah, but but he doesn't want to go after the championship right now. He doesn't want to go after the championship right now. He wants to go after Kross. Why not just go after the Cruiserweight Championship first and then go after Kross if you want? But that's not going to be any good either. Stay to one championship. We don't need no dual champions. And so yeah, that was it with that. So Pete Dunne, he wants Karrion Kross in the NXT Championship. And so yeah, right after that we had another match. We had a match and it was Alexander Wolfe representing Imperium with Imperium in his corner. That's Fabian Aichner and Marcel Bartel versus Killian Dane with Drake Maverick in his corner. And so yeah, so both of these guys, they're going at each other. In the start of the match, we had a boot to Dane right on the side of his head, and we had a corner splash to Wolfe. So Dane was fighting back, and then Bartel, he tried to get involved in the match, but Drake Maverick, he tried to even up the odds, but Drake Maverick, he had fell. Bartel had took him out, and so we had a big boot to Bartel from Dane to knock him out of the ring, and we had a German suplex to Dane from Wolfe. And then Bartel, he threw a chair to Alexander Wolfe, and so he threw it into the ring. And so first, Alexander Wolfe, he had hesitated a little bit. He had hesitated, and so he did ended up grabbing a chair. And he tried to hit Dane with the chair, but Dane had caught him with a crossbody to win the match. So Killian Dane had won the match. And so yeah, that was it with the match. The match, it was not important. It was not important at all. The only important thing was what happened at the end of this match. And so yeah, so right after the match, we had Imperium. They did their signature pose when they put their hands behind their back. Fabian Aichner and Marcel Bartel is on this side, one side, and the other guy's on that side. And Alexander Wolfe, he stands in the front. And so yeah, so Alexander Wolfe, he had stood in the front, and so Bartel and Aichner had attacked Wolfe from behind. So they beat down Wolfe. They ganged up on Wolfe, and so that's a sign. So Alexander Wolfe is kicked out of an Imperium. So they kicked him out of Imperium. And so with that, I was like, well, Alexander Wolfe, like, what are they gonna do with him? What are they gonna do with Alexander Wolfe? Are they gonna put him with Killian Dane, his former tag team partner, so we can, I guess, get back sanity, bring back sanity, I guess. Maybe, I don't know. Or will they kick him out? Will they kick him out and add somebody else to the group? That's what I was thinking. Are they gonna kick Alexander Wolfe out of the group and replace him with somebody else? That's what I probably think that's gonna happen because Walter, he said that Imperium is gonna expand, and so we might get somebody else added to the group to replace Alexander Wolfe because Alexander Wolfe, he is the weak link. He is the weak link of the team. That's my honest opinion, man. He is the weak link of the team. Walter is stronger. Walter, Fabian Aichner, and Marcel Bartel are the strongest ones, but Alexander Wolfe is the weakest member of Imperium. And so yeah, and then it felt like Alexander Wolfe. It looked like he didn't fit in Imperium. He didn't fit in Imperium. Like he didn't fit with them. And so I guess that's why they kicked him out because he didn't fit quite well with them. And so who are they gonna replace him with? I don't know. It could be anybody. I don't know. Probably a Timothy Thatcher. I don't know. I'm just guessing on the top of my head. Maybe a Timothy Thatcher. I don't know because they tried to recruit him into Imperium, but he refused. But yeah, it could be anybody, man. It could be anybody. And so yeah, that was it with that. The match wasn't important. The only thing that was important was what happened at the end. And so yeah, right after that we had McKenzie Mitchell. She had interviewed Raquel Gonzalez, who is the NXT Women's Champion, with Dakota Kai. And so they were talking about Mercedes Martinez and the NXT Women's Championship match from last week and all that stuff, and about respect and all that with Mercedes Martinez. Raquel Gonzalez showing respect towards Mercedes Martinez and Dakota Kai not showing respect towards Mercedes Martinez. So we might be having conflict with these two, Raquel Gonzalez and Dakota Kai. And so yeah, so they were talking, and then Everrise had interrupted Raquel Gonzalez and Dakota Kai. Everrise, that's Chase Parker and Matt Martell. And so yeah, so they interrupted them. They were promoting not their championship. They were promoting they're not even champions, dude. But yeah, they promoted their show, their social media show, or their show on Twitter that nobody watches. And so yeah, and so they basically try to pick a fight with Raquel Gonzalez and Dakota Kai, and they were making fun of Dakota Kai saying that she wasn't a champion, but Raquel Gonzalez is a champion. And so they try to pick a fight with them. And so Raquel Gonzalez had slapped one of those guys to the ground, and he had like coffee in his hand, and so the coffee went over too. And so yeah, that was it with that. And so yeah, that was it with that. And so yeah, right after that we had the tag team match. So this is when stuff started to pick up. That's when the show started to pick up. And so yeah, we had Legado del Fantasma as Joaquin Wilde and Raul Mendoza versus Tommaso Ciampa and Timothy Thatcher. Now this is when stuff started to pick up right here. I enjoyed this match. I love this match. This is a fun match. And so yeah, so we had Ciampa. He had threw Wilde into the plexiglass outside the ring. And then we had an armbar to Mendoza from Thatcher. And so yeah, at one point we had Mendoza. He was bleeding from his nose. At first I didn't know how he was bleeding or what caused him to bleed the first time, but they showed it on replay. But yeah, they had showed it on replay, and it was Tommaso Ciampa. It was Tommaso Ciampa had caught Mendoza with an elbow strike in his nose. So that's what caught Mendoza. And so yeah, so we had a drop kick to Thatcher's leg from Mendoza. And so yeah, so Mendoza, he started kicking Thatcher over and over and over again. And we had double ankle locks to Legado del Fantasma from Ciampa and Thatcher. And then both teams, they were going back and forth with moves and all that stuff, so they were all over the place. And we had a series of clotheslines to Legado del Fantasma from Ciampa, like clotheslines after clotheslines after clotheslines. And then he had hit them both with a flying clothesline, a flying double clothesline. And so yeah, we had stereo drop kicks to Ciampa from Legado del Fantasma, and then Mendoza and Ciampa, they were going back and forth with slaps, so they were going at each other with stiff shots. And so yeah, we had Mendoza, he had ran into the ring post shoulder first at one point because Ciampa, he had moved out of the way, and then Mendoza, his shoulder had hit the ring post. And so yeah, we had a hot tag to Thatcher. He had took out Legado del Fantasma with suplexes and uppercuts and all that stuff. And we had a running knee. We had a running knee to Mendoza from Ciampa, and Mendoza had kicked out. And we had a shining wizard to Ciampa from Mendoza, followed up by a lion salt. We had a lion salt to Ciampa from Mendoza. And we had a tope con hilo to Thatcher from Joaquin Wilde, which was a nice spot, a beautiful looking tope con hilo. And we had a Willow's Bell. We had the Willow's Bell to Wilde from Ciampa, and Mendoza, he had broke up the pin. So that was a close one. He would have had him if Mendoza wasn't there. That would have been it. That would have been the end of the match right there. And so yeah, right after that we had the grizzled young veterans. I'm sorry, the grizzled young veterans, Zach Gibson and James Drake. They had took out Ciampa behind the referee's back, so the referee didn't see it. And so to end the match, we had Legado del Fantasma. They hit their finishing move, their tag team finishing move, their Russian leg sweep, Insiguri kick combo to Tommaso Ciampa to win the match. So Legado del Fantasma wins the match, and that was it, man. Great match, great match. This is when everything started to pick up, man. This match right here, this is really great. Great match, great back and forth with these teams, man. And we might, since the Grizzly Young veterans, they got involved in this match, we might be seeing more matches with GYV and Ciampa and Thatcher, so that should be good. And so yeah, so we have Legado del Fantasma. We have Legado del Fantasma versus MSK for the NXT Tag Team titles. Now, I don't know about this one, man. I think I will give it to Legado del Fantasma. I'll give it to Legado del Fantasma because right now, man, MSK right now they doing nothing with the titles. They doing nothing with the titles right now. So I will probably give it to Legado del Fantasma, and because it seemed like it looked like they have gotten a title shot. Had they? I don't even remember. But yeah, Legado del Fantasma, they deserve to win the championships. They deserve to win the championships because if they lose, like, there's nothing left for them. There's nothing left for them to do. Like, there's nothing left for them to fight for. So I'll give the titles to Legado del Fantasma. And plus, they beat Ciampa and Thatcher. So they actually pinned a former tag team champion in Tommaso Ciampa, a former tag team champion and a former NXT champion, Tommaso Ciampa. They pinned him in the middle of the ring. So I'll give the championships to Legado del Fantasma just based off of that, man. And so yeah, so that was it with that. And so yeah, right after that, we had a backstage interview from McKenzie Mitchell. She interviews Bobby Fish. And so yeah, so Bobby Fish, he made his return last week on NXT. And so yeah, so Fish, he said that he didn't show up because of Kyle O'Reilly. He didn't show up for Kyle O'Reilly. He showed up because he has unfinished business with Pete Dunne and Oney Lorcan because they had took him out in that War Games match. They put him on the sideline, so he's out for revenge. And so yeah, so basically, Bobby Fish, he had challenged Pete Dunne to a match next week. So he's calling out. He said that he's calling out Pete Dunne for a match next week. And so yeah, that was it. So the match was made for next week. So it's gonna be Pete Dunne versus Bobby Fish. And so we're gonna see Bobby Fish as a singles competitor for the first time in WWE. And so it's probably not gonna end up good for him. It's probably not gonna end up good for him. I would have sent him. I would have reunited them. I would have reunited Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish, man, to go after those tag team titles, man. Get Red Dragon back, man. Get Red Dragon back from Ring of Honor. And so yeah, that's what I would have done. I would not split Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly up. It's just not the right move, man. They need more tag teams in this tag team division, man. Vying after the titles. And Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish are former tag team champions. And when you put them back together, they're not gonna become the Undisputed Era. They're gonna get rid of all the Undisputed Era references and all that stuff. They're gonna come up with their own identity as Red Dragon. And so yeah, that was it with that. And so yeah, right after that we had The Way again. We had Candice LeRae and Indi Hartwell, the NXT Women's Tag Team Champions, and they were at the massage spa again. And so yeah, when it was time for them to pay up, yeah, the worker, the person, the masseuse, she said that their card had declined, their credit card had declined, and all that stuff, and and they couldn't believe it. They couldn't believe that the card declined and all that stuff. And so the worker had brought up, she had called the credit card company and all that stuff, and to see like what the problem was, like why the card was declining and all that stuff. And she had brought up the flowers. Did you spend money on flowers? Did you spend money on chocolate 3 weeks ago? And so yeah, so Hartwell, she was like, "You mean the flowers from 3 weeks ago? You mean the chocolate from 3 weeks ago?" And so Candice LeRae, she started to get nervous and all that stuff because Indy Hartwell's was finding out. She was about to find out what Candice LeRae was up to, so that's why LeRae was getting nervous. And so yeah, so Hartwell, she asked LeRae, "Do you know what this means? Like, do you know what this means, Candice? Do you know what this means?" And so Hartwell, she says that Dexter Loomis is still in love with me. He is still in love with me. That's what she said. And so yeah, so Hartwell, she said that Dexter Loomis is still in love with her. And so LeRae, she had this confused look on her face, like this lady cannot be this stupid. She cannot be this stupid. That's what she was thinking. That's what Candice LeRae was thinking. And so yeah, that was it with that. That was it with the way in there massage spa segment. And so yeah, that was it with that. So we will be seeing them back next week. And so yeah, right after that, we had a backstage segment with the NXT North American Champion, Johnny Gargano, with Austin Theory in his corner. He had spoke about Bronson Reed And Gargano, he said that he was untouchable, that nobody can touch him, and that he will retain his NXT North American Championship tonight in the main event in the steel cage match. And so yeah, right after that we had a match, a women's match. It was Aaliyah with Robert Stone and Jessica Maya in her corner versus Sarai, the Warrior of the Sun. And so yeah, so the start of the match we had Sarai, she had went for a handshake, but Aaliyah, she had attacked Sarai, and then Aaliyah, she had took control of the match at that point. And so both ladies, they were going back and forth with strikes, and we had a German suplex to Aaliyah and a diving drop kick to Aaliyah. So Sarai was fighting back, and we had a drop kick to Aaliyah on the bottom rope. And so Aaliyah, she was draped on the bottom rope, and Sarai had caught her with a drop kick. And to end the match, we had a half and half suplex to Aaliyah to win the match. So Sarai wins the match, and that was it. Wasn't much to the match. It was nothing more than a warm up match for Sarai. So they steadily building her up. And so yeah, that was it with the match. And so yeah, right after that we had Ember Moon. It was a vignette from Ember Moon and Shotzi Blackheart, and they were talking about, the way, and them. They were talking about themselves losing the tag team titles and all that stuff to the way, and that their feud with the way is not over yet. And then they focused their attention on Raquel Gonzalez and Dakota Kai, saying that they don't appreciate them cutting in front of the line in the contendership and all that stuff. And then Moon and Blackheart, they said that they will get back on track and retain, or well, not retain, since they're not the champions, so they're not gonna retain anything. But yeah, they said that they're gonna regain the NXT Women's Tag Team Championships, and so that was it with that. And so right after that, we had a vignette, and it was from the Diamond Mine stuff. So Diamond Mine, we don't know who it is. Is not Tessa Blanchard. It's probably a faction or something. So we might find out as the weeks go by. And so yeah, right after that, speaking of factions, we had a match, and it was Hit Row. It was Hit Row, Ashanti Diadonis, and Top Dollar with Isaiah Swerve Scott and B-Fab in their corner versus Toni Nese and Arya Daivari. So it was great to see Toni Nese and Arya Daivari. I haven't seen them in forever, man. In forever. And so yeah, so 205 OGs, Toni Nese and Arya Daivari. And so yeah, so we had a flapjack to Nese from Adonis. And then Top Dollar, he had tagged in. He started throwing Nese across the ring. And we had slams. It looked like a double slam. So he picked up Arya Daivari and Toni Nese at the same time and slammed them at the same time. And so Daivari, he was fighting back. He tried to fight back. And we had a drop kick. We had a drop kick to Daivari from Adonis. A picture perfect drop kick. He squared him right in his face with that drop kick. And we had a super kick to Nese from Adonis. And then in the match, we had a fireman's carry turn into a neck breaker from Top Dollar to Daivari to win the match. So Hit Row wins the match. And that was it, man. Great showing from Hit Row, man. Toni Nese and Arya Daivari, they done a great job at making them look strong. And yeah, I would love to see more Toni Nese, like more people that's on 205 Live that's not on NXT. Bring them on NXT. Like I don't even know what's the point of having 205 Live when you have the cruiserweight division on NXT. Get rid of 205 Live, man. Who watches 205 Live? Who watches 205 Live? Nobody. Put the cruiserweight division, the rest of the cruiserweight division that's in 205 Live on NXT. Get rid of 205 Live. Nobody watches 205 Live. But yeah, anyway. So yeah, so right after that we had Hit Row. They grabbed the microphone, and Isaiah Swerve Scott, he had spoke, and they were talking about the NXT North American Championship main event. And Isaiah Swerve Scott, he says, he basically said that, whoever comes out the winner, I'm next. I'm next, and I'm going after the NXT North American Championship. And so yeah, that was it with that. And so yeah, right after that, we had a backstage interview from McKenzie Mitchell. She interviews Mr. Regal, William Regal, the general manager of NXT. And so yeah, Mr. Regal, he talked about the cruiserweight division, and that he's gonna add more people to the cruiserweight division, and so because he wants more challenges for Kushida. And then he talked about the NXT Women's Championship challengers too. And And so yeah, so he said he talked about the tag team title scene too. He said that Legado del Fantasma will be going up against MSK for the tag team titles. And then he said next week is gonna be Ember Moon. It's gonna be Ember Moon and Shotzi Blackheart versus Raquel Gonzalez and Dakota Kai. And the winners will be going up against The Way, Candice LeRae and Indi Hartwell. And so with this match, they booked themselves into a corner with this one. Like yeah, of course Raquel Gonzalez and Dakota Kai will win. Of course they'll win. But when they're going up against The Way, they're not gonna win the tag team titles. They're not gonna win the tag team titles. Like, dude, you're not gonna take the titles off of Indi Hartwell and Candice LeRae because they just won the titles. And and if Raquel Gonzalez wins the championship, like what good is that gonna do? It's not gonna do anybody good. It's not gonna do anybody good. Like it's not gonna do anybody good because you're taking away the titles from Indi Hartwell and Candice LeRae for no reason. After they just won the titles just to put it on Raquel Gonzalez and Dakota Kai, and Raquel Gonzalez can't lose. Raquel Gonzalez can't lose because she's the champion. She's the NXT Women's Champion. So I don't know what they're gonna do. Are they gonna have Dakota Kai lose the tag team match? Are they gonna have Dakota Kai lose in that championship match? Because you ain't gonna pin Raquel Gonzalez. You are not gonna pin Raquel Gonzalez. And so yeah, so they will beat Ember and Shotzi next week, but they are not gonna beat The Way. They are not gonna beat The Way. I see Dakota Kai getting pinned in that championship match, and that'll be it. And we'll have a split. We'll have a split with Raquel Gonzalez and Dakota Kai. So the split might happen in that championship match against The Way. And so yeah, that was it with that. And so yeah, right after that, you had a video package of Frankie Monet. Frankie Monet, we saw her earlier tonight. And so they said that next week, Frankie Monet will make her in-ring debut. And so yeah, man, that was it. And so yeah, right after that, we had the main event. We had the main event, and it was for the NXT North American Championship in a steel cage match. And so yeah, it was the colossal Bronson Reed versus Johnny Gargano, who is the NXT North American Champion, with Austin Theory in his corner. So yeah, this was the best match on the show, man. Behind, next to the tag team champ, not the tag team championship match, but the tag team match. And so yeah, so we had Reed, shoved Gargano to the ground during the championship in-ring introduction. And so yeah, so the bell had rung. As soon as the bell had rung, Gargano he had ran right to the cage door. He wanted to end the match early. He ran right to the door to try to get it open, but Reed he had stopped him. And so we had Gargano. He tried to outpower Bronson Reed. Why? I don't know. And so yeah, we had Reed. He started throwing Gargano into the cage, and Reed he used his weight to smush Gargano into the cage. Like he used the back of his weight to smush Gargano into the cage. And so we had an apron spear. So Gargano he tried to go for his apron spear, or that springboard spear, or whatever you want to call it. He tried to hit the springboard spear to Reed, but Gargano his foot had got caught in the cage, and so Reed he had saw it and he had a draping DDT to Gargano, and so Gargano he had targeted Reed's leg, and we had a lion salt. We had a lion salt to Reed, and we had a Death Valley driver to Gargano, and he kicked out. I love the Death Valley driver. When Bronson Reed hit it, man, it is freaking explosive. And so yeah, so he hit the Death Valley driver on Gargano and he kicked out. And then Reed he had climbed up the cage. I don't know why. Reed can easily go for the door, but he climbed up for the cage. But Theory he tried to stop Bronson Reed, and so that distracted Reed. And so Gargano he had tripped up Reed on the top rope, so Reed he had fell right on top of the top rope. And so Gargano he had took control of the match during a commercial break, picture in picture, of course. They love their picture in picture. And so yeah, so Theory from outside of the ring, outside of the ring and outside of the cage, he tried to attack. Well, he did attack Bronson Reed. And so yeah, so Reed, he fought Johnny Gargano. He fought Johnny Gargano off, and he had a Samoan drop to Gargano off the second rope. And we had Reed. He climbs up the cage again, and Gargano he had targeted Reed's leg. And so yeah, we had a sunset power bomb. This was a nice spot right here. We had a sunset power bomb to Reed off the rope. Nice spot. And so we had the cage door. The cage door was open. One of these guys had signaled the referee to open up the cage door, and Theory, he tried to help Gargano get out of the cage. And, Reed, he had grabbed Gargano by the legs. And Theory from the outside of the ring had grabbed Gargano by the arms. And so they were playing tug of war with Johnny Gargano. And then, Bronson Reed, he got the better of it. So he won the tug of war. And so, yeah. And then we had Bronson Reed, he had slammed the cage door into Austin Theory. So Austin Theory, he went falling down to the mat. And so, yeah. So we had a poison Rana. Oh my God, man. We had a poison Rana to Bronson Reed, man. Bronson Reed is a big freaking dude. And Gargano hit the poison Rana on him. How did he pull that off? I don't know. But he hit the poison Rana on Bronson Reed. And so Gargano, he tried to go for his finishing move, that one final beat, that apron DDT or that springboard DDT. But Bronson Reed, he had threw Gargano into the cage. And so, Bronson Reed, he went for the cage door. He went for the cage door. He tried to escape. But Austin Theory, he had pushed the referee. He pushed the referee into the cage door. He pushed the referee into the cage door, and the cage door had smacked Bronson Reed right in the face. And so right after that, I heard this, man. Yeah, the referee said, "Man, what are you doing? What are you doing?" That was funny, man. That was really funny. And so, yeah, so Gargano, he hit this finishing move, that one final beat to Bronson Reed, and he kicked out. And we had an avalanche. We had an avalanche powerbomb to Gargano, a nice spot. And so Theory again tried to get involved in this match again. So Austin Theory, he got involved in this match, the entire match. And so Austin Theory, he tried to get involved in the match again. But Reed had took him out. And so we had a splash. We had a top rope splash to Gargano on his back. I was like, oh my God, man, that had to hurt. That had to freaking hurt. And then he hit another splash. He hit his finishing move, the Tsunami, on Gargano to win the match. So he took two top rope splashes. He took two top rope splashes from Bronson Reed. And I was like, oh my gosh, man, Gargano is freaking toasted. He is. Oh my God, I felt bad for him. I felt bad for Gargano, man. So yeah, the Tsunami to Gargano to win the match. So Bronson Reed wins the match and is the new NXT North American Champion. And so yeah, what would have been cool? What I would have done? I probably would have had Bronson Reed went to the top of the cage, the very top of the cage, and hit the Tsunami on Gargano. That would have been epic. That would have been epic. The ring probably would have broke. The ring probably would have exploded. But he didn't. He didn't go for it. It would have been cool though if he would have went to the top of the cage though. But yeah, that was it with that. Great match, man. We had some awesome spots in this match. Awesome spots. And yeah, the right person won the match. Bronson Reed wins the match, and rightfully so, man. Gargano, he was doing nothing with the championship. And Bronson Reed, they've been high on Bronson Reed. They've been building him up as a monster, as this colossal monster. And now he's the NXT North American Champion. And yeah, man. What's next? What is next for Johnny Gargano? What's next for him? He's not going to go after Kross. I'm telling you that right now. Nobody's going after Kross. He's not. He's probably going to get a rematch. He's probably going to get a rematch with Bronson Reed, and he's going to lose again. And then what's next after that? Right after you lose to Bronson Reed again? The only other option is the Cruiserweight title, man. Is the Cruiserweight Championship. Can you imagine that? Johnny Gargano going after the Cruiserweight Championship. And having him go after Kushida, who is the current Cruiserweight Champion. So we might have a feud relived. We might have a Kushida and Johnny Gargano feud again for the Cruiserweight Championship. So that might be cool. That would be great, man. That would be great. Gargano versus Kushida for the Cruiserweight Championship? Yes. Oh my gosh, yes. Yes. And so, yeah. Now with Bronson Reed, man. Bronson Reed, who is his next challenger? Probably Isaiah Swerve Scott. Because Isaiah Swerve Scott, he has said that whoever walks out the new NXT, or whoever walks out as the NXT North American Champion, he's next. So I'm guessing Isaiah Swerve Scott is next, but I wouldn't send him after the North American Championship. Not yet. It's too early for him. I mean, he deserves a shot at the North American Championship. He's been there for a while. But right now, nah, I wouldn't send him after the North American Championship because he'll lose. He'll lose to Bronson Reed because Bronson Reed, he will win. Bronson Reed will win all of his championship title defenses. And you don't want to have Scott lose because he just debuted a faction, Hit Row. You want to have Hit Row look strong. You want to have every member in the group look strong. So having Isaiah Swerve Scott go after Bronson Reed right now, probably is not the best option right now. Probably not the best move right now. But if they do send him after the championship, if they do send him after the North American Championship, I do see Leon Ruff getting involved in this too. Because, Leon Ruff, he still haven't gotten his revenge yet against Scott, because Scott has screwed him over and all that stuff. And Leon Ruff, he's that type of guy. He is that type of guy that has that never say die attitude. That never say die attitude. That I'm gonna beat. Like, I'm not gonna stop until I beat you down. I'm not gonna stop until I get what I'm owed and all that stuff. Leon Ruff is that type of guy. So I do see Leon Ruff getting involved in it and costing Isaiah Swerve Scott the championship. And we might have another feud with Leon Ruff and Isaiah Swerve Scott. But I don't want to see another feud with Isaiah Swerve Scott and Leon Ruff. But I do see it going that way. But right now, man, it's too early. It's too early to send Swerve after the North American Championship. Because, if you do send him after the North American Championship, you gotta have him, you're not gonna have Bronson Reed drop the title. You're not gonna have him drop the title, you know. But yeah, man. But yeah, that was it with the show. That was it with the main event. Great match. The right person did win this match. Bronson Reed is the new NXT North American Champion. His first ever championship in WWE, the NXT North American Championship. And yeah, man, I'm happy for him, man. Finally, all that hard work paid off, and he is the new NXT North American Champion. And so yeah, that was it with that, and that was it with the show. Overall, it was a decent show. It wasn't all that bad. The beginning of the show, I said the same thing with the WrestleMania Backlash show. The beginning of the show was uninteresting, but when stuff started to pick up, stuff started to pick up towards the middle of it, like the middle of the stuff, the middle of the show, and then towards the end, right from that tag team match with Ciampa and Thatcher and Legado del Fantasma, that's when everything started to pick back up, and then everything else that followed it was good, was great, and so yeah, it turned out to be a decent show, and so yeah, that was it with that. And if you like this video, man, what are you waiting for, man? Hit the thumbs up. Hit the thumbs up. And if you're new here, hit that subscribe button. And right next to that subscribe button, there's a bell. Make sure you click on that bell so you'll be the first ones to know my next video will come out, because I'm here each and every single week. I'm here on Tuesdays for NXT. I'm here on Wednesdays for AEW Dynamite. I'm here for Thursday for Impact Wrestling. And yeah, so I'm here each and every single week. Follow me on Twitter at Ryan Awesome Show. And yeah, man. And I'll see you guys for tomorrow on Wednesday for AEW Dynamite and the Inner Circle. The Inner Circle, they had their response to the Pinnacles. To the Pinnacles, I guess, ultimatum. If they beat the Pinnacle, or if they beat the Inner Circle in that Stadium Stampede, the Inner Circle will break up forever. So we'll see what happens on AEW Dynamite tomorrow. And yeah, man. And if you guys missed my last week's episode of NXT, the video is going to be right up here. The video is going to be right up here in this corner. It's going to be right up here in this corner. And the link to that video will be down below in the description. So make sure you clicked on those links. Click on that link if you missed anything. And yeah, man. And once again, guys, man, thank you for the support. Thank you for the support. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Hit the thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. Turn on that bell for all notifications. Comment down below. Tell me how you felt about this episode of NXT. And see you guys for tomorrow for AEW Dynamite. And once again, thank you for the support. Thank you for all of the support, all of the love, and the support that you guys give me for this show. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, and thank you. And this has been the Ryan Awesome Show. Take care, stay safe, and that's that.